itu tidak benar, mungkin video itu sebab satu fake video yang telah didoktor untuk dijadikan itu. Dan pihak yang menyebarkannya tadi kena diambil tindakan. So saya kena mengambil pendirian macam itu. Selagi dia belum bersalah kan, tidak didapati bersalah, saya tak.
He said due to the complexity of the case, police cannot rush the investigation and need time to conduct a thorough job. The IGP said that the video probe is a difficult case that cannot be resolved in 1, 2 or even 3 weeks. In a statement later this evening, the IGP said the video had been spread with the intention to provoke anger. He said the footage had been produced by those who had that ill intention with the cost of thousands of ringgit. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Abdul Hamid has denied allegations that Perak PKR chairman Farhash Wafa Salvador Rizal Mubarak was detained for 24 hours without being provided any food.
Betul ke polis direct di lokasi? Apa tak diberi makan?
Oh, itu semua dakwaan yang tak betul.
Okey, kemudian
Lawyer Baldip Singh, who made the claim, said Farhash Wafa related this to him when met at the Dangwangi police station yesterday. In a related development, the PKR Supreme Council on Thursday urged the party's president to cease issuing divisive remarks on the party. In a statement, it said Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim should instead focus on uniting its members. The PKR Supreme Council made the call in a statement after Datuk Seri Anwar had said that Economic Affairs Minister Datuk Seri Azmin Muhammad Ali should resign in the event that the veracity of the viral sex video involving a former political aide is proven to be true. The Supreme Council said it is of the view that such statements was inappropriate and was based on speculative assertions. They reminded Datuk Seri Anwar that PKR had since its Reformasi years defended him against identical tactics using sex videos and other means of gutter politics. The Supreme Council reiterated its stand to firmly defend Datuk Seri Azmin, the party's deputy president, and any other leader who is attacked using such unethical methods. Datuk Seri Anwar, when met by the media in Parliament lobby on Thursday, said he accepted the Supreme Council's statement positively. The PKR President also noted that his deputy, Datuk Seri Azmin, probably did not fully comprehend his remarks, as reported by the media.
Azmin. Yeah, I did look at the mirror this morning, and no, but I said I don't think it's fair to him also. I mean, in this position. Probably he didn't read the full text. you guys just prompted a question and he responded. And I think, I don't think that you should exploit on these sort of remarks. I don't feel, unnecessarily upset over that. But I thought he should have read the full text and the context. And if I've been advised, for example, I should not have just responded to the media on that question, whether it is the veracity of the media. They may be right, because you give a different, you insinuate differently. And I take it in a positive light, the criticism or the remarks by some of my friends. I should have avoided.
When asked to comment on the issues faced by PKR in the wake of the sex video probe, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said he would think about handover of power when he crosses that bridge. Tun Dr. Mahathir, who was also Pakatan Harapan chairman, said at the moment he has a lot of other things to do.
That is in the future. We will come to that when we cross the bridge. Okay?
Sir, the problem in PKR, is that a liability to Pakatan Harapan?
That is for you to make an assessment. Thank you.
And you don't think it is a problem to Pakatan Harapan?
I don't have to think about this. I have lots of other things to think.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said this at a media conference after chairing a special cabinet committee meeting on anti-corruption at the Prime Minister's office in Putrajaya on Thursday. On to Datuk Seri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak's SRC trial. Runaway financier Taek Jho, or better known as Jho Low, was always late for meetings even when scheduled in advance. Former AmBank Managing Director Taek Jho described Jho Low as a perpetual latecomer but refused to label the fugitive businessman as a liar. Under questioning from Datuk Seri Najib's lawyer Harvinderjit Singh, Chia testified that Jho Low was never punctual and that was the reason he did not socialise with the man. The topic of Chia's past communications with Low and his opinion of the runaway businessman was raised when Harvinderjit was going through the logs of chats between Chia and AmBank relationship manager Joanna Yeo Ging Ping. Chia also denied allegations of him receiving 2 iPhones, courtesy of Low back in 2013, saying he did not need gifts from anyone and could afford to buy it himself. This, however, was despite several chat logs between Joanna and someone believed to be Low, making references to the 2 iPhones meant as gifts from Low for Chia. Chia, who was the 50th prosecution witness to be called, was released after he finished with his testimony. He had everyone snickering again when he thanked the lawyers and said he had to rush off as he had a lunch date. Earlier, Attorney-General Tommy Thomas made an application for Datuk Seri Najib to make a full and unconditional apology over his Facebook post regarding his credit card's expenditure. He told the High Court that the accused had written a Facebook posting defending the credit card spending, saying the funds were used to purchase gifts for the royalty of another country. Thomas was referring to Datuk Seri Najib's posting in relation to the 47th prosecution witness who testified 2 days ago that 2 credit cards belonging to the former Prime Minister had been charged 3.3 million ringgit in a single day at Swiss luxury jewellers store De Grisogono in Italy in 2014. However, Datuk Seri Najib's counsel Harvinderjit Singh requested more time to consult with lead counsel Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah over the prosecution's application. Justice Muhammad Nazar Muhammad Ghazali granted the defence's request, which was not objected by Thomas. The Prime Minister on Thursday stressed that the Auditor-General must be free to take action. For this, the government wants to provide more independence to the National Audit Department and the Auditor-General. In this bid, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad disclosed that the government is studying amending the Audit Act 1957. At a media conference in Putrajaya, the Prime Minister said the previous government had abused the law to tell government auditors who were under the supervision of the Prime Minister's department what to do.
Yeah, the Auditor General is under the Prime Minister's department. Strictly speaking, it is only under the Prime Minister's department. It doesn't mean that the Prime Minister should have authority over the Auditor General. What has happened in the past is that the Prime Minister directs the Auditor General to audit this and not audit that, and that is wrong. The Auditor General must be free to take action that he or she thinks fit.
Tun Dr. Mahathir earlier chaired a special cabinet committee on anti-corruption at the Prime Minister's office. Last August, the Prime Minister said the government was looking at placing the department under Parliament rather than the Prime Minister's department. Presently, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong appoints the Auditor General on the Prime Minister's advice. The government will draw up a Freedom of Information Act to replace the Official Secrets Act. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said the Special Cabinet Committee on Anti-Corruption had agreed in principle that sufficient time must be given to the process of drafting the law.
Jawatankuasa ini bersetuju secara prinsip bahawa tempoh masa yang mencukupi harus diberikan kepada proses gubalan undang-undang ini dengan memfokus kepada sesi libat urus dan outreach yang mencukupi dengan masyarakat.
Pakatan Harapan's 14th General Election Manifesto had pledged to introduce the Freedom of Information Act and review the OSA, along with the Whistleblower Protection Act and the Witness Protection Act. The Cabinet Committee on Thursday also discussed the recommendations on the scope of the Government Procurement Act, which will be drafted by the Finance Ministry. The bill is expected to be tabled in Parliament by the middle of next year. The government's efforts in graft busting has finally borne fruit. This could be seen through the National Anti-Corruption Plan, NACP, which has yielded encouraging results barely 6 months since its launch. Tun Dr. Mahathir said the faith of the public, both locally and internationally, was also reflected in a study on the effectiveness of graft prevention action. According to the study carried out by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, the people's perception of the government's seriousness in tackling the scourge reflected an 11% hike in trust from 59.8% in year 2016 to 70.8% last year. Tun Dr. Mahathir said Malaysia recorded a good showing in the Edelman Trust Barometer Global Report that showed Malaysians giving a trust score of 60 in 2019, a rise from 46 last year. Malaysia also went up 3 places in the Asian Corporate Governance Association, ACGA Corporate Governance Watch, from 7th place in 2017 to 4th place in 2018.
Terdapat juga beberapa perkara dasar yang telah berjaya dilaksanakan, antaranya tiada pelantikan ahli parlimen sebagai pengurusi ataupun ahli lembaga pengarah dalam syarikat berkepentingan kerajaan kecuali membabitkan khazanah nasional berhad berbanding sebelumnya di mana syarikat GLC kerajaan seperti Tabung Haji Mara dan Felda FGV diterajui oleh ahli parlimen sehingga mengakibatkan kerugian yang besar sehingga hari ini.
He also said among other policies that contributed to the upswing in public trust are, as of now, there have been no procurements made through direct negotiations for physical development projects under the Public Works Department, PWD. Now the PWD will implement a 100% direct tender process for all development projects under the 11th Malaysia Plan, compared with 2017, where only 30% was made through an open tender system. The Prime Minister added that parliamentary integrity had also been restored when the Dewan Rakyat Speaker resigned from his political post and the Public Accounts Committee appoints the opposition as one of its members. Tun Dr. Mahathir also said that information is now revealed in a more transparent way, as seen in the Felda White Paper, Tabung Haji investigations and reports on the land swap involving the Defence Ministry that have been presented in Dewan Rakyat. The Election Commission, EC, has no specific date for the implementation of the automatic voter registration of 18-year-olds. Its chairman, Azhar Azizan Harun, said the Commission will need at least 1.5 years to implement the system. This is because in order to establish the system, EC requires data from 3 government entities, including the National Registration Department, Prison Department and the Health Ministry. According to Azhar, voter address issues also need to be attended to beforehand to avoid problems with the automatic voter registration system. This is especially true for those who once lived at locations that may not exist anymore, such as demolished apartments, which in turn may give the misleading impression of phantom voters.
So kalau kita buat automatic registration, maka akan ada terus pengundi di Sulaiman Court yang kat Sogo tu. Sulaiman Court tak ada Sogo. Flat berkeliling dah tak ada, tapi ada pengundi. Jadi electoral roll kita akan kotor. Bila dianalisakan oleh NGO dan sebagainya, maka dia orang akan kata ada penghuni hantu. Ya, so itu masalah apathy lah.
He was speaking at a press conference after the Make a Change, Let's Do It Together forum organised by the Commission at the Putrajaya International Convention Centre. Azhar added that the EC would provide updates on its readiness from time to time in a bipartisan manner, explaining that when 100% readiness was achieved, he believed the enforcement date for the amendment would be fixed. Once the enforcement comes into effect, the EC are expecting up to 22.5 million new voters, leading up to the 15th general election. Fitch Ratings expects Malaysia's economy to grow slower at 4.4% in 2019 and 4.5% in 2020 as a result of worsening external environment. It said global trade tensions are likely to have a detrimental effect on Malaysia's economy, as with many other countries. Private consumption is likely to hold up well, and public investment should pick up again in the next few years after the successful renegotiation of some big infrastructure projects. Fitch said general government debt is expected to gradually decrease from 62.5% of GDP in 2019 to 59.3% in 2021. The rating firm also expects another 25 basis points rate cut in year 2020 on the back of continued external and domestic uncertainty. Next, panic as two big cats stray into a village in Terengganu. The details right after this breather. Nightline continues. In Terengganu, panic spread among residents of Kampung Besar Lama in Bukit Besi Dungun after two tigers were spotted roaming in the area at around 3:30 p.m. on Thursday. In a 1-minute and 24-second video that was uploaded to social media, showed the two tigers wandering around in the area while being chased out by the locals with the help of the Wildlife and National Parks Department. The big cats, which seemed to be famished, however, did not react aggressively when the locals chased them back into the woods. One resident claimed that ongoing logging and mining activities in a nearby jungle may have caused the predators to stray into the village. In Negeri Sembilan, a 65-year-old man pleaded not guilty at Seremban Sessions Court to 8 counts of sexual assault. The accused, V. Subramaniam, was charged with committing the act against a 12-year-old girl, including being in possession of a pornographic clip featuring him and the victim. He claimed trial before Judge Junaidah Muhammad Isa after the interpreter read out the charges under the Sexual Offences Against Children Act 2017 and Section 293 of the Penal Code to him in Tamil. For the first 2 charges, the accused was charged with producing and possessing a pornographic video of a 12-year-old girl on his cell phone. For the 3rd charge, the accused had allegedly persuaded the victim to commit sexual acts by promising to buy various types of goods and clothing for the victim. Meanwhile, for 5 other charges, he was charged with sexual harassment, ordering the victim to conduct sexual acts and allowing the victim to see him conducting the sexual act on his own. All these offences were committed at the parking lot of the Seremban Municipal Council Hawkers Complex between the 2nd and 3rd week of June. The accused asked the court for bail as he had to provide for his family. However, the judge denied his request and fixed August 21st for remention. On July 10th, a 3-minute video clip was widely shared on social media platforms in which the victim was forced to perform sexual acts on the suspect in the backseat of a car. In Perak, police arrested 6 loan shark syndicate members that have been quite active in several states, including 15 cases reported in Perak and 4 in Selangor. Perak State Police Chief Superintendent Hasbullah Abdul Rahman said the arrests were during a raid at a condominium in Serdang, Selangor on Tuesday. Initial investigations showed they charged interest of up to 15% to their customers, nearly triple the bank rates. All 6 suspects, aged between 24 and 34, were remanded for 3 days from July 17th to assist investigations. A Kuala Lumpur Road Transport Department JPJ officer was killed when his motorcycle skidded at Jalan Sungai Buloh Kepong on Wednesday. According to Petaling Jaya District Police Chief, Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Zani Cik Din, the victim, Muhammad Jamil Iskandar Jaafar, aged 35, died at the location due to severe injuries in the 6:45 p.m. incident. It is understood that the victim was on his way home from work when the accident occurred. His body was taken to the Sungai Buloh Hospital for post-mortem, and the case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. Over in Negeri Sembilan, 5 men who stopped and inspected a police patrol car during the Rantau State by-election on April 13th were charged in the Seremban Magistrates Court on Thursday. S. Viganeswaran, S. Mangaswaran, S. Sivakumar, M. Arin and A. Yovan Lewis, however, claimed trial to a charge of obstructing the police from discharging their duty. The offence under Section 186 of the Penal Code provides for a jail term of up to 2 years or a fine of up to 10,000 ringgit or both if found guilty. The court then allowed the accused bail of 2,000 ringgit each. Next on Nightline, at least 33 people killed in suspected Japan arson. Don't go away. On to the foreign front now. In Japan, the death toll from the suspected arson attack at a renowned animation studio in the city of Kyoto on Thursday rose to 33 people, with some people still remain unaccounted for as the search operation is still underway. At least 36 more people have been injured in the incident, with some in critical condition. According to local authorities, the fire broke out at the 3-story studio of Kyoto Animation Co. at around 10:30 a.m. local time, after a man in his 40s stormed into the studio and set it on fire. Most of the bodies were found on the 2nd floor of the building, where about 70 people were believed to have been working when the fire started. Police said the suspect had been detained and was taken to hospital with injuries. So far, it is unclear if the man had any relationship with the company. Over in Turkey, a bus carrying illegal immigrants overturned in eastern Van province on Thursday, killing at least 15 and injuring 27 others. According to Governor Mehmet Emin Bilmez, the accident occurred on the Van Usalp Highway near İpekköy district's Erzek neighborhood. It is believed that the driver had lost control of the vehicle, causing it to veer off the road and rolling into a ditch. Most of the victims were women and children, and their nationalities were not yet known. It is also not clear where the bus was headed to. Turkey has been a key transit point for irregular migrants aiming to cross into Europe to start new lives, especially those fleeing war and persecution. Looks like that sports item wraps up Nightline this time around. But before we leave, let's have a look at artist Wu Zhenxian's effort in coaxing the Instagram generation back to Ruanqiao village, which is devoid of young people, by transforming local homes into a canvas of colour. With that, I'm Anita Wu. Thank you for watching and good night.